When Jealousy Burns, the story of Lorenzo Aleman's fatal rage. Before we dive in, kindly hit the subscribe button and let us know where you are watching from in the comment. It started with a smile. That's all it took for Lorenzo Aleman to lose himself. He was 34, worked long hours fixing air conditioners in El Paso, Texas. His hands were rough. His back ached most nights. But when Maya walked into the bar that evening, wearing a red dress that shimmered under the dim lights, everything around him stopped. She wasn't just beautiful. She was magnetic. Her laughter cut through the music. Her eyes, dark, confident, seemed to pull people toward her. And for the first time in years, Lorenzo felt seen. They talked until closing. She said she just moved from Phoenix, trying to start fresh after a breakup. He told her he was tired of being invisible. That night, they drove to the desert overlook just outside town. The city lights twinkled in the distance, and for the first time in years, Lorenzo felt something real, or at least he thought he did. By morning, they were inseparable. Lorenzo wasn't a bad man, but he was fragile. He'd grown up with a father who believed control meant love. He learned early that affection was earned, not given. So when Maya smiled at another man, even for a second, his stomach burned. First, it was small things. Her phone lighting up at dinner, her coworker's name popping up in her texts, the way she dressed when she went out without him. "Why are you wearing that?" he'd ask. "Because I want to feel pretty," she'd reply. "You're already pretty," he'd say. "You don't need to show everyone else." Maya would roll her eyes, but inside she began to feel trapped. By their third month together, Lorenzo had memorized her schedule. He drove past her workplace during lunch breaks. He checked her social media every night before bed. She never noticed how deep his obsession went. Not yet. Then came the first explosion. It was a Friday night. They were supposed to go out with friends. Maya took too long getting ready, at least that's what Lorenzo thought. When she finally walked into the living room, wearing a tight black dress and silver heels, he froze. "Who's that for?" he asked. "What?" She laughed. "You, babe." But he didn't laugh. His jaw tightened. His eyes darkened. "Change. Lorenzo, don't start." "Change," he shouted, slamming his fist against the wall. Maya jumped. For the first time, she saw something in him she hadn't before: danger. He didn't hit her that night. He just grabbed his keys and left, disappearing into the night. She thought he needed space. But Lorenzo didn't go far. He parked outside her friend's house, the one they were supposed to meet, and waited for hours, watching through his windshield, imagining her laughing with someone else. By morning, he'd convinced himself she was cheating. The next day, he apologized, cried, said he'd been under stress, that he just loved her too much. And Maya, still believing she could fix him, forgave him. Love makes fools out of the kind-hearted. A few weeks later, Lorenzo bought a ring. It wasn't expensive, just a small diamond set in silver. He planned to propose, but something told him Maya wasn't ready. She'd started pulling away, spending more time at work, going quiet when he touched her. Then one night, while Lorenzo was fixing a unit on the far side of town, his phone buzzed. It was a picture, sent by his cousin, who worked security at a bar near downtown. The photo showed Maya sitting at the counter. Next to her, a man with a hand on her shoulder. They were laughing. Lorenzo's hand began to shake. The wrench slipped from his fingers, clanging against the concrete. His heart pounded in his ears. He zoomed in on the picture. The man was tall, wearing a gray shirt, and leaning close. He didn't know him, but in Lorenzo's mind, that didn't matter. He'd already written the story. By midnight, he was parked outside Maya's apartment. The lights were still on inside. Through the curtains, he could see her moving, pacing, maybe talking on the phone. He waited, gripping the steering wheel until his knuckles went white. Minutes turned into hours. At 1:13 a.m., the lights went off. But Lorenzo didn't drive away. He stayed, watching the building until dawn painted the sky pink. When Maya stepped out in the morning, she didn't see the truck down the street. She didn't see him following her to work. She didn't see him writing down the address of the man in the photo, a name he'd found through a quick search of her social media comments. His name was Evan Carter, and in Lorenzo's mind, he had just declared war. The next week was calm, almost too calm. Maya thought things were getting better. Lorenzo cooked dinner, brought her flowers, told her how much he loved her. But beneath the surface, something was boiling. Lorenzo had started keeping a notebook. He wrote everything down: times, names, license plates. He told himself it was for clarity, but really it was for control. Each entry made him feel powerful again, like he could still own the narrative. But power built on delusion never lasts. On May 11th, Maya didn't come home. Lorenzo called her phone 5 times. No answer. By 10 p.m., panic turned to rage. He drove to her apartment, banged on the door, shouted her name. When she finally opened it, her eyes were red. She'd been crying. "Where were you?" he demanded. "Out." "With who?" "Lorenzo, I can't do this anymore." His chest tightened. "What are you saying?" "I need space," she whispered. "You're scaring me." Those words sliced through him like a blade. He stepped back, blinking. Scaring her? After everything he'd done for her? But instead of shouting, he smiled. A slow, empty smile that made her skin crawl. "Okay," he said softly. "Take your space." Then he left. Maya thought it was over. But Lorenzo wasn't the kind of man you simply walked away from. The next 2 weeks were quiet. Too quiet. Maya started noticing things. Her car door slightly open, her window unlocked, footprints near her porch. She told her friend, Ava, that she felt watched. Ava said she should go to the police. But what would she say? That her ex-boyfriend might be stalking her? There was no proof, and part of her still didn't believe he'd hurt her. Then one night she woke up to a sound. Faint click. Her back door. She grabbed her phone, heart racing, and crept toward the kitchen. The house was dark. Still. Then she saw it. The silhouette. A tall figure standing by the counter. She screamed. The figure froze, then bolted out the back door. She called 911, shaking so hard she could barely speak. By the time officers arrived, the man was gone. They searched the yard, found nothing but boot prints and cigarette ashes. Maya didn't sleep that night. She changed her locks the next day, bought a camera for her door. But deep down she knew he'd be back. Meanwhile, Lorenzo was unraveling. He'd been fired from his job after missing shifts. His apartment looked like a crime scene. Bottles on the floor, blinds shut, the walls covered in photos of Maya and scribbled notes. Every night he drove past her house. Every night he parked a little closer. In his mind, he wasn't stalking her. He was protecting her from betrayal, from herself, from the world that didn't deserve her. He started keeping a gun in the glove box. Just in case, he told himself. By early June, even his friends started avoiding him. He'd grown paranoid, angry, unpredictable. One night, his cousin found him sitting in his truck with the engine running, staring at Maya's house. "Man, you need to stop," his cousin said. "She don't want you no more. Let it go." But Lorenzo didn't answer. The desert never gives up its secrets easily. It swallows them whole. When officers found Maya's silver Honda Civic abandoned near Route 62, the wind had already covered the tire marks with sand. The doors were unlocked. The keys still dangled from the ignition. Inside, they found her phone on the passenger seat. The screen cracked. Her purse was there too: wallet, cards, lipstick. Untouched. Everything except Maya. Detective Carla Velez stood beside the car, squinting against the setting sun. She'd seen this before. A young woman goes missing. Boyfriend says he's heartbroken. And somewhere out there, a body waits to be found. She looked at the tracks in the dirt. Faint, uneven. One set led toward the highway. Another disappeared into the brush. "Search grid from here to the creek bed," she ordered. "Call in drones before we lose the light." As the search team spread out, she stared at the horizon. Miles of nothing. The kind of nothing that hides everything. News spread fast. Local woman missing after car found abandoned. Photos of Maya, smiling, radiant. flooded every news station. Friends gathered at her apartment complex, handing out flyers, hugging strangers. They couldn't believe it. Not Maya. Not the girl who made everyone laugh. By morning, the hashtags were trending. Hashtag Find Maya Cruz, hashtag Bring Maya Home. People wanted answers. But answers don't come easy when jealousy is the motive. Detective Valles started with the boyfriend. They always do. Lorenzo Aleman lived 10 miles away, in a one-bedroom apartment above a pawn shop. When she knocked, he opened the door almost immediately, as if he'd been waiting. He looked wrecked, eyes bloodshot, hair uncombed. "Mr. Aleman?" "Yes," he said softly. "You're here about Maya." He invited her in. The place smelled like smoke and sweat. Crumpled photos of Maya littered the table, along with bottles and half-eaten food. A candle burned near the window, the kind people light for the dead. "She's been missing 3 days," he said, rubbing his face. "I can't sleep. I can't think. Please tell me you found her." Valles watched him carefully. His voice cracked in all the right places. His eyes glistened with practiced pain. But something was off. His walls were lined with photos, not framed, just taped everywhere. Some were torn as if ripped from albums. In several, Maya was smiling beside him, her face circled in red ink. Valles' instincts flared. "Mind if I ask when you last saw her?" "2 weeks ago," Lorenzo said. "She wanted space. I respected that." "You two still in contact?" He hesitated, just a flicker, then nodded. "She called once. Said she was okay." "What day was that?" He blinked. "Last Tuesday." The detective jotted it down. But her gut told her the call never happened. Later that afternoon, Valles spoke to Maya's best friend, Ava. "She was terrified," Ava said. "She told me he'd been watching her, following her. She even caught him behind her house one night." "Did she report it?" Ava shook her head. She didn't think anyone would believe her. She said he was just intense. Valles had heard that word before. Intense was what people said before dangerous, before violent, before deadly. She checked Maya's phone logs. Dozens of missed calls, all from Lorenzo. The last one came the same night she vanished. At 6:17 p.m., 7 minutes after Maya clocked out of work. The next day, a team searched a half-mile radius around where the car was found. They found nothing but tire ruts, cigarette butts, and a single torn piece of fabric, blue, like the blouse Maya had worn that day. The lab confirmed it was a match. They also found boot prints nearby. Size 11. Same brand Lorenzo wore. Detective Valles didn't need to say it out loud. Everyone on the team was thinking the same thing. Meanwhile, Lorenzo was crumbling. He couldn't stand the police knocking at his door, the neighbors whispering. He drove aimlessly at night, chain-smoking, talking to himself. Every radio station mentioned Maya. Every social media post made his heart pound. He started to believe people were following him, that Detective Valles was out to ruin him, that Ava, Maya's best friend, was lying about him on TV. His paranoia turned to rage. He called Ava one night. She didn't answer. He left a voicemail instead. "You don't know the truth," he hissed. "You weren't there. She made me this way." Then he hung up. Detective Valles got a warrant 2 days later. When they entered Lorenzo's apartment, what they found made her blood run cold. Every wall was covered in Maya's photos, hundreds of them. Some printed from social media, others taken from across the street, through her windows. There were notebooks filled with dates and addresses, a calendar marked with hearts, every day they'd spent together, and one page circled in red, May 23rd end. It was the same day Maya disappeared. They took him in for questioning. "Mr. Aleman," Valles began calmly, "you've been calling Maya repeatedly. You followed her. You were near Route 62 the night she went missing." Lorenzo looked up, eyes wild. "You think I hurt her?" "No, I love her." "You love her?" "Yes," he shouted. "I love her more than anyone." "Then why were you watching her home at night?" He slammed his fist on the table. "Because she lied. She said she loved me, then went out with someone else. I just wanted the truth." The room fell silent. Valles leaned in. "And did you get it?" Lorenzo stared at her, eyes hollow, voice low. "She's not with anyone now." The words hung in the air. A chill ran down Valles' spine. She signaled to the other detective in the room. The tone had changed. They searched his truck that evening. Inside, they found a single earring under the passenger seat. Gold, shaped like a small leaf. Ava confirmed it belonged to Maya. The carpet in the trunk was damp, recently scrubbed. The scent of bleach lingered. But without a body, there was no murder charge. Just suspicion. And suspicion doesn't hold in court. They booked him for stalking and harassment instead. He was released within 72 hours. For the next month, Maya's case went cold. No sightings, no remains, no closure. The public moved on to the next headline. But Detective Valles didn't. She knew Lorenzo was guilty. She just needed proof. One afternoon, a local rancher came into the station. He said his dog had brought home something strange. A piece of fabric tangled in weeds near his property, 20 miles north of Route 62. It was stained, weathered, and blue. Valles' team drove out immediately. The terrain was rough. Dry gullies, scattered mesquite trees, the kind of land that hides more bones than stories. As they searched, the air thickened with silence. Then one of the officers shouted, "Detective, over here!" At first, she saw only sand. Then the unmistakable curve of a human ribcage. The remains were scattered, partially buried. Animals had done what time always does, erase. But the jewelry hadn't vanished. A small gold earring still clung to what was left of a skull. The same leaf-shaped earring from Lorenzo's truck. They found a bracelet too, the one Maya's mother said she never took off. Valles knelt in the dirt, staring at the earth around her. The quiet was deafening. She'd seen too many of these scenes. But this one hurt more. Maybe because Maya had been so young. Maybe because she'd asked for help, and nobody listened soon enough. The desert had finally spoken. And it spoke of obsession, possession, and the kind of love that kills. When they told Lorenzo the news, he didn't cry. He didn't flinch. He just stared ahead, expression blank. For more chilling true crime stories, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. The cell was small, 8 by 10 feet, concrete walls, a steel toilet, and a single flickering light that buzzed like an insect in the dark. Lorenzo Aleman sat on the lower bunk, staring at the wall. He'd been in here for 146 days. Every morning started the same, with the sound of metal doors slamming and the echo of voices down the hall. But today felt different. A letter had come. It wasn't from his family. They'd stopped writing months ago. It wasn't from Maya's family either. They wanted him erased from existence. No, this letter came from someone else. A journalist, Evelyn Grant, true crime writer, host of a podcast called Through the Darkness. She wanted to tell his story, the real story, the one he swore no one had ever heard. He smiled. Finally, someone who wanted to listen. That night, when the lights dimmed and the hallway fell silent, Lorenzo pressed the letter to his chest. He whispered to himself, "They'll all see," he muttered. "They'll finally understand." Evelyn arrived 2 weeks later. She was calm, sharp, the kind of woman who noticed everything but said nothing. Her recorder blinked red as she took a seat across from him. Between them, a thick layer of reinforced glass. Lorenzo leaned forward, palms flat on the metal counter. "You're not like the others," he said. "They think I'm a monster. You want to know the truth." Evelyn didn't blink. "I want to know what happened," she replied. He smiled. "The truth is never what people think." For a moment, the silence stretched thin. Then he began. "She used to love me," he said softly, "before everything went wrong, before she turned people against me." "Who's she, Lorenzo?" Evelyn asked. "Maya, my light, my fire." He paused, breathing heavy through the phone receiver. "She said she needed time, but she didn't mean it. She wanted me to chase her. She liked the attention." Evelyn kept her tone even. "So you followed her?" He smirked. "Followed? No. protected. There's a difference. Every word sent a chill through the room. He wasn't justifying what happened, he was rewriting it, twisting it, making it sound reasonable. That was his gift. The same charm that once drew Maya in now filled every word he spoke. She was scared, he continued. Not of me, of being alone. She said no one understood her like I did. And when she realized she couldn't live without me, he stopped, smiled again. That's when she ran. Evelyn leaned closer to the glass. Why did she run, Lorenzo? His eyes hardened. She betrayed me. The air in the visiting room turned heavy. Evelyn could feel it, that electric hum that only comes from sitting inches away from evil. He pressed his hand against the glass, as if trying to reach her. People think I killed her because I was angry. They're wrong. I killed her because she broke something inside me. He leaned closer. When something breaks, you fix it. And if you can't fix it, you end it. The interview was over in 40 minutes. Evelyn left the prison pale, shaken. She'd interviewed killers before, cold, methodical ones. But Lorenzo was different. He wasn't detached. He was alive in his madness. He believed every word he said. That night, she listened to the recording again. The pauses, the tone, the twisted logic. Then she heard something she hadn't caught before. A sentence whispered under his breath at the very end of the tape. She's not alone out there. Evelyn froze. What did that mean? She brought the audio to Detective Carla Valles the next morning. The same detective who'd built the case that put Lorenzo away. They listened together. When the whisper played, Valles frowned. He's taunting us, she said. That's what he does. But Evelyn shook her head. No, he said, she's not alone out there. What if there's more we missed? Valles leaned back. The case had been closed for months. But something in Evelyn's voice, that cold certainty, made her uneasy. What are you suggesting? She asked. That Maya wasn't his only victim, Evelyn said. It wasn't impossible. Lorenzo had worked construction for years. He'd traveled from town to town. Each time he left abruptly. Each time rumors followed, girlfriends, fights, restraining orders. The pattern was there, hidden in plain sight. Valles reopened the file. They started digging through unsolved disappearances. 3 names surfaced within days. Jenna Rowe, vanished in 2015 after breaking up with a coworker. Elise Garner, reported missing in 2017, last seen with a man matching Lorenzo's description. Tanya Ricks, found in 2019 strangled near a rest stop. No suspect ever charged. Each woman had one thing in common. They'd all dated a man who called himself Ren, a shortened version of Lorenzo. When Evelyn confronted him during their next interview, his expression didn't change. You've been talking to the police again, he said. I'm talking to you, she replied. I just want the truth. He smirked. The truth is boring. People want stories. She leaned forward. Did you kill them too, Lorenzo? He laughed. A dry, humorless sound. Kill? No, they killed themselves. They couldn't handle being without me. Evelyn's stomach turned. He wasn't denying it. He was romanticizing it. After the 3rd interview, the prison warden pulled Evelyn aside. Be careful with him, he warned. He's not like the others. He knows how to get in people's heads. She nodded, but it was too late. He already had. As her series aired, The Fire of Jealousy, the story of Lorenzo Aleman became an overnight sensation. Listeners were obsessed. Clips flooded social media. Some even wrote to Lorenzo in prison saying they understood him, that love made people do crazy things. It horrified Evelyn. She'd meant to expose him. Instead, she'd made him famous. Meanwhile, Detective Valles followed a new lead. A tip came from an inmate who once shared a cell with Lorenzo. He claimed Lorenzo bragged about a girl buried near the quarry, the same quarry where he used to work. They brought in cadaver dogs. Took 2 days before they found the remains. Bones, clothing, a bracelet identical to one Elise Garner's mother had described. Valles closed her eyes. It was him, again. When the news broke, Evelyn returned to the prison one last time. She wanted to confront him face to face. He looked thinner now, older, but his smile was the same. "They found another one," she said through the phone. "Did you think they wouldn't?" He tilted his head, eyes gleaming. "You make it sound like I'm a bad person." "You are a bad person." He grinned wider. "No, I'm just honest. Love isn't gentle, Evelyn. It's fire. It burns until nothing's left." She clenched her jaw. "You murdered them." His smile faded. "Did I? Or did I set them free?" She slammed the phone down. That night she couldn't sleep. She kept hearing his voice, that calm, chilling whisper. He wasn't talking about the women. He was talking about her. A week later, a letter arrived at her office. No return address, no postage stamp, just one line written in neat, looping handwriting. "You said you wanted the truth. Come find me." Enclosed was a small Polaroid photo, a shot of the desert road near Route 62, the same place Maya's car had been found. Evelyn's hands trembled. How could he have sent it? He was behind bars. She drove to the police station, letter in hand. Detective Vulles studied it under the fluorescent light. "It's his handwriting," she said, "but the postmark's missing. Someone on the outside must have sent it." "Someone?" Evelyn asked. "Who?" Vulles didn't answer. The podcast had gone viral. Millions of downloads, hundreds of fan pages, a flood of letters pouring into the prison. Some of them came from people wanting to understand Lorenzo. Some wanted to marry him. Others wanted to be him. It wasn't just a story anymore. It was a movement. Evelyn Grant sat in her apartment, surrounded by boxes of letters, all addressed to her, all about him. She picked one up. The handwriting was messy, rushed. Lorenzo was right. It read, "Love is a fire. The world just fears the ones who burn brighter." Her stomach turned. These weren't fans. They were disciples. On her kitchen counter, the radio buzzed. A news anchor's voice broke through the static. Authorities are investigating a brutal murder in Phoenix that bears striking resemblance to the 2019 Aleman case. The victim, a 24-year-old woman, was found strangled, her body positioned in a ritualistic manner. Police are looking into possible connections to the so-called Aleman Club, an online group that glorifies convicted murderer Lorenzo Aleman. Evelyn froze. Her coffee cup slipped from her hand and shattered on the floor. No, couldn't be. She called Detective Vulles immediately. "Carla, did you hear the news?" Evelyn said, breathless. Vulles sighed on the other end. "I did. We're already on it. The media's calling them copycats." "They're not copycats," Evelyn said. "They're followers." Vules's voice hardened. "Then we have a bigger problem than I thought." Over the next few weeks, more cases appeared. One in Nevada, another in Texas. All young women, all strangled, all found with a small paper heart placed on their chest. Each one marked with the initials LA. The press called it the Aleman killings. Talk shows debated whether the media was to blame. Podcasts dissected every line of Evelyn's interviews. And through it all, one name kept echoing louder, darker, and stronger. Lorenzo Aleman. Inside his prison cell, Lorenzo watched the news with quiet satisfaction. The flicker of the television reflected in his eyes like fire. A guard walked past, muttering under his breath, "Your fan club's getting out of hand, Aleman." Lorenzo smiled. "It's not a club," he said softly. "It's a family." Meanwhile, Evelyn couldn't sleep. Every night, she replayed the last interview in her head. His words, his smile, his promise. "You'll keep saying my name." He'd been right. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't escape him. Every network, every headline, they all led back to him. The obsession started small. A candle left burning at her desk. A stack of new letters from anonymous senders. Then came the late-night calls. No voice on the line, just breathing. One morning, she found a note taped to her car windshield. It read, "You're the only one who truly understands him." Evelyn looked around the empty parking lot. No one, just silence, and the feeling that she was being watched. Detective Vulles noticed the change in her. the dark circles under her eyes, the way she flinched whenever her phone rang. "You need to step back from this," Valles warned. "You're too close." "I can't," Evelyn said. "He's still controlling people, even from inside. I need to know how." Valles sighed. "He doesn't control them, Evelyn. They choose to follow him." "That's what scares me," she whispered. That evening, Evelyn logged onto a private forum she'd been tracking, firewithin.us. It was a message board dedicated to Aleman's teachings. Thousands of users, posts full of poems, letters, even sketches of Lorenzo's face. But one post stood out. From a user named Ren Reborn. "The fire spreads soon. The prophet speaks through her. Route 62 will burn again." Her blood ran cold. Route 62. The same road where Maya had died. The same road from the Polaroid. She called Valles again. "I think something's going to happen," Evelyn said. "There's chatter on a site. They're planning something near Route 62. Valles exhaled. "Jesus Christ. All right, I'll get a team on it." 3 days later, they found her. A woman in her 20s, burned beyond recognition, lying beside the desert highway. Next to her body, a candle, still burning. Valles stood by the scene, fists clenched. "This isn't a cult," she said bitterly. "It's a virus." When Lorenzo heard the news, he laughed. The guard who brought him his meal stopped and stared. "What's so funny?" he asked. Lorenzo looked up. "Fire can't be contained," he said softly. "Even stone walls can't stop it." Evelyn couldn't bear to turn on her phone. Messages flooded her inbox, reporters, fans, conspiracy theorists. Some accused her of creating a monster. Others praised her for giving the prophet his voice. But one message stood out from the rest. It had no sender, no subject line, just one sentence. "He wants to see you again." She drove to the prison that night. Storm clouds churned over the desert. Rain pounded the windshield like fists. The guard at the gate hesitated when she arrived. "You're not on the schedule," he said. "I need to see him," Evelyn said firmly. "Now." The guard hesitated, then buzzed her through. Lorenzo was waiting, calm, composed, like he'd known she would come. "You look tired," he said with a smirk. "I've been watching the news. You're doing great work." "You did this," Evelyn snapped. "These people, they're killing for you." He leaned forward, eyes glinting behind the glass. "No, Evelyn, they're killing for love." Her fists clenched. "You manipulated them." "I gave them purpose," he said. "You gave them the microphone." Her stomach twisted. He wasn't wrong. "Call them off," she demanded. He laughed quietly. "You still don't get it. I don't call them. They come to me. They see what I see." "And what's that?" He smiled. "The world is full of broken hearts. I just light the match." After that visit, Evelyn disappeared from the public eye. She stopped recording episodes, stopped answering calls. Her followers flooded her social media with questions, theories, prayers. Then, one night, she posted a single message on her podcast feed. Episode 10, The Final Truth, coming soon. The internet exploded with speculation. Was she going to confront him again? Was she going to expose the cult? Or was she joining him? Detective Valles grew uneasy. She drove to Evelyn's apartment. The lights were off. Inside, the air was stale. The walls were covered with maps, notes, strings connecting photos of victims. And on the table, an unlit candle. Next to it lay a USB drive labeled, The Final Truth. Valles took it to the station and played the audio. Evelyn's voice came through, low and calm. "This isn't about love or rage anymore. It's about power, and the power of belief. I've seen what Lorenzo can do from behind bars. But what if he's not the only one? What if we all have that fire inside us, waiting to burn?" Vales's hands trembled. This wasn't journalism. It was indoctrination. The episode went live the next day. Within hours, it hit #1 on every platform. Millions listened. Thousands joined online groups claiming the desert was quiet again. Wind howled across the empty highway. carrying dust and memory through the night. It was the same stretch of road where Maya had died, where Evelyn vanished, and where the story of Lorenzo Aleman had begun and maybe ended, but the fire still burned. Detective Carla Velez stood by the edge of Route 62, staring at the faint outline of tire marks disappearing into the sand. The morning sun glared across the dunes, heat shimmering like ghosts. A sheriff's deputy approached. "We searched 10 miles in both directions," he said. "No body, no sign of struggle, just the car." Velez squinted toward the horizon. "She didn't run," she murmured. "She followed something." Back at headquarters, Velez sat alone in the evidence room. Photos of victims lined the wall. The candles, the hearts, the same pattern repeated like a curse. She opened the case file marked Aleman, Confidential. Inside were transcripts of Evelyn's podcast, his letters, and the recordings from his cell. Every page screamed manipulation, control, obsession. But then she found something new, a report she'd missed before, a note from a correctional officer at the prison. Inmate Aleman receives unauthorized mail via third-party visitors. Letters appear coded. Several mention the circle and reference an upcoming cleansing. Velez frowned. The circle. It wasn't just online anymore. That night, she drove to the prison. The warden met her in the visitor lobby. "I told you Detective Aleman's in solitary. He hasn't spoken to anyone." "Then explain this," she said, holding up the report. "Who's the circle?" The warden sighed. "We've been tracking a group of outside visitors, family members of inmates, mostly. They call themselves Keepers of the Fire. We thought it was a fan club. But now," he trailed off. "I need to see him," Velez demanded. When Lorenzo was brought into the visiting room, he looked different. Thinner, paler, but his eyes, those dark, unblinking eyes, still burned with that same quiet madness. He sat down. "You're late," he said calmly. "I didn't know we had an appointment," Velez replied. He smiled. "You always come back." She tossed the report on the table. "The circle," she said. "What are they planning?" He chuckled softly. "You think you can stop a fire by naming it? People are dying, Aleman," she snapped. "Young women, the ones who believe you." He leaned forward, voice low. "They don't believe me. They believe in love, in pain, in the truth the world hides. You brainwashed them. I woke them up." Velez slammed her hand on the table. "You killed Maya. You destroyed Evelyn. And now your followers are finishing what you started." For a moment, silence. Then, slowly, Lorenzo smiled. "You give me too much credit, Detective. Flames don't ask who lit the match." She stared at him, disgusted. "You're never getting out of here." "I don't need to," he whispered. "She's already free." Velez's stomach dropped. He couldn't mean Evelyn. Hours later, the prison went into lockdown. A fire alarm blared through the halls. Guards ran toward cell block C, Lorenzo's wing. By the time they arrived, the cameras had gone dark. Smoke poured from beneath his cell door, and on the wall, drawn in soot, were 3 words: "Love is fire." When the flames were finally extinguished, there was nothing left of him but ash and melted steel. His body was never recovered. The official report called it suicide by arson. The warden called it containment failure. But Velez didn't believe either. Lorenzo Aleman was too calculating, too deliberate. If he wanted to die, it would have been theatrical, not quiet. And then there was the note they found under his bed. "The circle is complete." Weeks passed. The media frenzy faded. But online, something was growing again. New accounts, new messages, new believers. They posted symbols of fire, broken hearts, and the initials LA. And one account, using Evelyn Grant's photo, uploaded a video. The caption read, "He's free now. The world will feel it." Detective Velez watched it in her office. The video began with a candle being lit. Then a woman's voice, unmistakably Evelyn's. Soft, calm, hypnotic. "Lorenzo showed me that love and destruction are 2 sides of the same flame. You can't have one without the other." But his fire wasn't meant to kill. It was meant to purify. The world will burn, and what's left will finally be honest. The video cut to black. A single phrase appeared. Hashtag the cleansing begins. The FBI launched a manhunt for Evelyn Grant, but every lead turned cold. Every sighting contradicted the next. Some said she was hiding in Mexico. Others said she'd gone underground, building a network of disciples. One rumor claimed she'd been seen near Route 62 again, lighting candles in the sand. Wallace couldn't shake it. The obsession, the guilt. She'd watched Evelyn fall deeper into Aleman's world and couldn't stop it. One night, she sat alone in her apartment, reviewing old recordings. Then she heard it. In the background of Lorenzo's final interview. Faint, almost imperceptible, a whisper. It wasn't his voice. It was hers. Evelyn's. Burn it all. She froze the audio, played it again, clearer this time. No mistake. She'd been there, inside the prison, during his final days. The fire wasn't a suicide. It was a handoff. She'd helped him escape, not physically, but through belief. 3 months later, fires erupted across the Southwest. Abandoned buildings, warehouses, desert campsites, each scene left with the same calling card, a paper heart and a candle. The cult was spreading. Wallace knew she had to stop it, but every time she traced a message or tracked a forum, it vanished. The circle moved like smoke, uncatchable, unseen. Then one night, her doorbell rang. When she opened the door, there was no one there, just an envelope taped to the frame. Inside, a Polaroid. The picture showed a candle burning on a hotel nightstand. Beside it lay a woman's hand. On her wrist, a bracelet, silver, with the initials EG. The photo's timestamp read 3 hours earlier. She grabbed her gun, her badge, and raced to the address printed faintly on the back of the photo. Sunset Inn, room 108. The motel was abandoned, doors hanging off hinges, sand creeping across the cracked floors. Inside room 108, the smell of wax and smoke lingered in the air. On the wall, written in red lipstick, "Welcome to the Circle." The candle on the nightstand was still burning. Next to it, a recorder. Wallace hit play. Evelyn's voice filled the room. "If you're hearing this, you've already joined the story. Lorenzo's gone now, but his message lives in me, in all of us who understand that love isn't kind. Consumes, transforms. You tried to stop him, Carla, but deep down, you know why people followed him. Because everyone wants to feel something that burns." Wallace gritted her teeth. "Where are you, Evelyn?" she whispered. The recording continued. "You'll see me soon." Then a sound, a door opening, footsteps, and a soft laugh, low, familiar, terrifying. Lorenzo's. The recorder. For more chilling true crime stories, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel.